r/AskReddit by Reddit and chill. How did you make someone cry? I heard it secondhand from my mom. But I made my grandfather cry, in a good way. I had taken him for his monthly doctor appointment in the big city. My cousin just had a baby girl. So he was showing the nurses photos of her exclaiming, "I'm a great grandfather." I turned to him and said, "You were already a great grandfather." He didn't say anything, but later, Mom told me he cried when he got home. This really makes me miss my grandpa. He passed in 2016 on vacation with my grandmother. I just wish there was a way to let him know that I love him and haven't forgotten him in the slightest. I work at a theater. A guest had their cell phone on with max screen brightness and they were sitting in the lower rows so everyone behind them could see it. Naturally, I asked them to turn their phone off or stow it completely. They instantaneously started crying instead. This guest was a woman in her early 20s. Wait, what? That was what I was thinking initially. Afterwards I didn't know how to react. So I just stepped back and took a long glance at the audience before I went to another auditorium to check for other disturbances. I worked at a DQ. As we had a new employee at the time, someone who had gone to the same school as me, I was telling my co-workers who the new employee was. I said her name out loud. She had been in the lobby, just out of sight. Heard her name, and assumed I was talking shit about her. Started bawling and walked out on her shift. She did not last very long after that. In 3rd grade, someone in my class told me to ignore a friend of mine for a whole week to see how they'd react. I was a baby back beach in 3rd grade and normally just did what people asked of me. So I went ahead and ignored my bro in class, recess, and on the bus. It hit him hard to the point that he had a full-on breakdown. Actually still friends with the guy to this day. Not sure if he remembers this incident back in 3rd grade, like 15 years ago. But I still think about it occasionally. Might bring it up next time we hang out and see what he says. Update if you do. I did similar things I still feel bad about, but I'm in contact with any of those people anymore. Wonder how they feel about it now. Yeah, this guy is one of my best friends. Our whole group from school still talks and gets together all the time. He also mentioned he wants me to be one of his groomsmen when he eventually gets married. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he's not holding a grudge. But I don't think it's even been brought up since like 2004. In my defense, I was a 3rd grader. 3rd graders are scum. Mayo. In middle school, a girl was dared to go up to me and slap me, and I immediately just slapped her back and she cried. It was kinda funny looking back and we both apologized, but damn, I was scared for a bit there that I was going to get in trouble with the school or something. How can she slap? How can she slap? When I was in middle school, a girl told me that her friend had a crush on me. And I just laughed because I thought they were doing that thing that middle schoolers do where they try to embarrass their friend by telling the awkward nerd that said friend like said nerd. But then the girl just ran away crying and I felt like the biggest jackass. Lol, I just remembered this happening to me in middle school. I completely blocked it from my memory because it was too awkward. A girl came up and stood there silently while her friends interrogated me as to whether I liked her. And I kept giving non-definitive answers, mumbling because I thought it was some kind of con. Pretty sure I hurt her feelings, and the sad part is I did like her, just got overwhelmed by the jackboa interrogation she brought. Did you get together? I faked cried after my friend's kid said he didn't want to be on my Mario Party team because I was bad. Apparently my fake crying is on point, so he started really crying because he thought he hurt my feelings. Not my proudest moment. He's such a sweet kid. I mean, lesson taught. Making others feel bad doesn't feel good, B. What is B? In high school, a guy once called me ugly and I said he had a big head and he started crying. As a big-headed person, this hurt. Casual acquaintance in my friend group in high school cut her own fringe. It was so bad I laughed. I genuinely didn't mean to have her in her face, it just slipped out in my shock at how bad she'd botched it. I felt so bad about it I took her to my hairdresser after school and they tried to fix it. There wasn't much they could do. What is it with girls always cutting their own hair? Bro, if you were a broke girl in school who had to pay 15 bucks every 6 weeks to make sure you don't look like a poodle gone through the spin cycle, you can't say you wouldn't probably resort to experimental cuts too. By not letting my 3-year-old cousin have a drink of my wine. She cried and ran out of the room like I had totally offended her. It's wine o'clock, not wine o'clock. Well, it can be both. According to this friend of mine who combines bitching about her life with drinking. Girl broke up with me, so I told her it was okay because I didn't think we were BFGF anyway. Username, sorta? Checks out. No. I was lying to her. Comma. We were doing that thing where you give a gift to someone else. And they do the same. Don't remember what it was called. I was gifted one of those stamp collecting books, more like a magazine. It was a really cute girl and I really liked the gift, so with excitement when I received it I asked, where did you buy this? Which apparently she thought was me making fun of the gift. So she cried. I just wanted to know where she got it so I could get the stamps to complete the collection. This was before high school and to this day I cringe when I remember trying to explain myself and no one would listen. I never even found out where to get the damn thing, so I had to throw it away. A gift exchange? Secret Santa? We were at a fancy dinner under the stars on our honeymoon. My mashed potatoes were delicious and apparently some ended up in my beard. My wife started laughing at me and by the time I figured out why she was in tears. Called her out after she mocked me for being colorblind. She thought she was being funny. She realized she was being an a-hole instead. Got bullied for years for being colorblind. Us colorblind folks have to stick together, here's hoping for redder pastures. Growing up I always thought colorblindness was a wild and interesting concept. I guess it never occurred to me someone might be bullied over it. What a weird thing to pick on someone for. I graduated high school. That's obviously not special. But the year before I graduated, my brother was involved in a serious accident that left him quite crippled. He put off getting his degree so now he'll never have it. My dad cried big time when I walked across the stage. I hope you know there is nothing you could have done in that situation. And I hope your family feels better about the situation that happened. I didn't yell at her or get angry when she accidentally burned some bacon. Context: her ex was massively abusive and got angry at her over the tiniest things, including minor mistakes, including her cooking. When she burnt the bacon accidentally, she instinctively expected me to be angry about it. And it was an emotional relief when I didn't. My GF was like this when we first got together. Small mistakes she thought would set me off. She'd cry trying to apologize for small things that didn't matter. My favorite, if I'm allowed to have one, would be that I was sleeping during the day because I work nights and she scratched my car's rim on the curb. She woke me up crying, apologizing for something that she had done. I had no idea what was happening. We walk out to my car, she shows me the little scuff and basically said, "Is that all you did? That's not a big deal, sweetie." She was immediately relieved that I didn't blow up on her. My wife called me just now crying because she accidentally knocked over and broke my 55 inches 4K TV. She was kind of abused as a child and it came out tonight when she called me. We've been married over 25 years now. She was expecting me to be really angry. But I told her it was only $350 and we can get another one. Joked that my sister would never have kids in the context of my son being bratty that day and trying to traumatize her. Found out when she disappeared to cry in the bathroom that she's struggling with fertility issues. So that sucked. Damn, this must have hurt both parties very badly. I'm really lucky that she handles things very rationally once the moment is over. And I'm the sensitive type who never would have said anything like that in the first place if I had known. Apologies and forgiveness happened quickly, thankfully. But damn, I felt horrible in that moment. Held $2 away from a kid. IDK, what the duck went on in my mind on that day? I want my $2. Apparently, not letting my 4-year-old niece come into the bathroom with me while I pooped was the greatest injustice she has ever experienced. My cats act the same way. One time when I was babysitting, my little 5-year-old friend screamed bloody murder and sobbed while banging on my bathroom door. He was perfectly fine once I was done. I don't understand children. I love him though. I unknowingly friend-zoned a girl hard in college. I didn't find out until a while later. But she had a bit of a crying freakout during class shortly after and ran out. I only know because my now wife was in her class. Ouch. Yeah, I honestly feel bad about it. But I was totally clueless. I was in the vet with my 12-week-old kitten and my really stressed out husband because my kitten was peeing blood. There was a bunch of other stuff happening in our lives and everyone was really stressed. We were waiting for the vet to come in and I was freaking out over the kitten. I thought he had urinary crystals like my older cat, and I was holding him and crying and I was talking about how if he had urinary crystals he might die because he was so little, and my husband was basically like nothing is going to happen to him. He's our baby, and started crying. It was actually super sweet because we had just adopted out his mom and sister and he was the last foster. Saved his pregnant mom from the street, and that was pretty much when my husband decided we were keeping him. He was okay. BTW. The vet couldn't find any sign of infection or crystals and just kept asking me if I had dropped him. I told her no. But that he threw himself into the ground pretty hard a lot while playing. She was kind of giving me the side eye and then he tried to get down off the exam table. Tripped over himself and fell down. She was basically like, yeah. Clumsy little a-hole bruised his bladder. He'll be fine. He was. Other than the fact that he's still clumsy over a year later. In elementary school we were standing up to sing the national anthem and I was chatting to the person beside me. My teacher proceeded to yell at us and say I can't hear the anthem if you're chatting peel gal. And I said well now no one can hear because you're yelling M's. Swan. And she cried the rest of the anthem. I kinda feel like that teacher had a lot more going on than a kid whispering during an anthem though. I remember a math teacher in 7th grade who was notorious for flipping out and having breakdowns during class. But other times could be the nicest person, all secondhand. I never had her. As a middle schooler I assumed she was just scary and horrible. As an adult it's pretty obvious she was dealing with some serious issues. I had also heard something about her sister passing away in that time frame. I hope she's gotten the help she needed and is in a better place now. Japanese tourist asked me where Anne, of Anne of Green Gables, was buried. I told him she wasn't a real person and he started to cry. Full stop. I still feel bad and it's been years. This is so random lol. In high school I was kinda a tool. A girl ran up to her friend and said OMG 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 you'll never believe what happened, and I was standing right there and I replied in a rude mockery of her voice OMG 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 what happened, and she just looked at me and burst into tears and ran off. And I was just left standing there like why did I do that? So I went and apologized later that day. I was not just kinda a tool, I was the biggest douche on the planet. A girl that sat next to me in AP US history had hit a deer and was bummed out about it. But people were asking her about it. So I poked myself into the conversation and said you know the deer probably had a baby. She just lost it. Some people thought it was funny. But she was bawling. Took her to dinner for Valentine's Day. Tried to make up for it. But I was just an awkward dude. Did you order venison? I was playing a friendly game of baseball with mixed adults and kids. I was manning third base and a kid was running for third. The ball was thrown to me but too high so I jumped for it. The kid decided to plow into me, knocking my feet out from under me before I landed. I came down hard on him and broke his leg. Oh boy did he cry. Yeah, that's on him. I mean that is his fault. Unintentionally abandoned her at a convention center after an event. I thought she had a ride with a mutual friend but I was wrong. Now we're married so I get to make her cry about more than just accidental abandonment. Ah yes. You've leveled up to intentional abandonment. Congrats. Wait till he finds out about emotional abandonment. Squirt lemon juice in their eyes. Wait, that was you? We did it. Reddit. We found the serial lemon blinder. During my pediatrics rotation in medical school, we spent a day at a daycare. I was chaperoning a bunch of preschoolers on the playground and one of them asked me to push her on a swing. While doing so, I decided to make small talk since I had no idea how to interact with children. Still don't. I said, so. About to start elementary school, huh? Which school are you going to? She had a look of complete shock. Stopped the swing. And screamed, I don't know. Then broke down in tears and ran away from me. My instincts kicked in and I immediately walked in the opposite direction nonchalantly so the employees wouldn't suspect me. I didn't go into pediatrics. Ducking, like and subscribe.